The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yep. Yes, we hear you. And good morning. It is Tuesday, September 9th. And today is National, oh, you guys are going to love this. It's National Wiener Schnitzel Day.
Oh, that's a big one.
Oh, man. Glizzies for everybody. It's also
what is a Wiener Schnitzel? I don't even know what that is. It's like a giant hot dog.
It's a restaurant. It's a fast food chain.
Oh,
but it's also.
I thought it was a.
Wiener Schnitzel.
It is. It's a glizzy with schnitzel on it.
What's a glizzy?
You don't know what a glizzy is, Todd?
No.
It's a hot dog. It's a wiener.
Got it.
Yeah. How do you not know?
Kids today with your slang.
The world's largest hot dog.
Is it the world's largest hot dog?
I don't know. That's what Google says.
Interesting. You know, Google be lying sometimes, so, but, you know, whatever.
I don't know. Google knows everything.
It's promoted on the Wiener Schnitzel website.
Okay.
So, you know, the company's promoting it. It is that. I would say that there's probably some larger ones in Vegas.
I mean, well, maybe Vegas is the home of the largest Wiener Schnitzel.
Ooh.
When I went to Vegas last weekend, my Wiener Schnitzel was extra desert grande.
Extra desert.
Thanks for
grande.
giving us a call and saying hello. Maybe grabbing a coffee.
No. I was grabbing something else.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, whatever.
He was grabbing.
My hands full.
He was grabbing his schnitzel, Todd.
Clearly.
Yeah.
The world's largest.
My schnitzel's so large, they're gonna do a show at the Sphere about it.
Oh boy.
Got it. It's impressive.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the testicular cancer, Yarrow.
Sex
You're not
elephants?
supposed to reveal that on the show, Jason. You just violated HIPAA.
Yeah, we don't care about it, but we're not worried about that.
I don't think he has any sort of responsibility to keep your information confidential.
Yeah,
I can't. I have a flying squirrel right next to my schnitzel shouldn't be disclosed on public.
Oh, fair enough. It's also, Yarrow.
That's why they call it a sugar glider.
Oh boy. Well, Yarrow, this is for you because this is it's Care Bears Share Your Care Day. You remember the Care Bears, Yarrow?
Every day is Care Bear Share Your Care around here. We're hippies. We hug.
They hug, huh? Do you Care Bear share your Care Bear stare?
I mean, I shared my schnitzel with a Care Bear recently.
Oh, hey, oh.
Are you sure that wasn't a furry?
It was pretty furry. I got my sugar glider.
Oh boy. Speaking of Yarrow,
it's gonna be a long hour.
Yeah. Speaking of Yarrow, it's also National Ants on a Log Day.
It's weird that has a day.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and it is also
it has 4 legs and eats ants.
An anteater.
Oh, 2 uncles.
Two uncles. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Very funny. Very funny, Todd. Very funny.
Can't you see Todd telling that joke at some like family barbecue and chuckling to himself as everybody else scatters and looks for something to do?
Yep, I could totally see that happening. You know what I'm saying? In actuality, though, I see Todd more saying it in his hot tub while he's smoking a cigar. I see him saying that more than.
Our viewers need to understand the context of that reference. Todd has circulated semi-naked pictures to all of us. Not circulated, showed on his phone.
He posts these on all of his social media pages all the time. Like, it's not a secret.
I would say those were his glory days, but they look like very recent images.
They are recent images.
It's also National Teddy Bear Day today, you guys.
Teddy Bear and Care Bear Day?
Yeah, wow. I know.
Kind of a conflict of interest, isn't that, Michael?
Well,
I don't know. I think they kind of work together, right? You can have a Care Bear teddy bear, or you can have a Care Bear or teddy bear that's not a Care Bear. So I think,
I don't think you get the bears to work synergistically without a sugar glider.
I don't know. My buddy used to have a sugar glider for a while. That thing was awesome. It would just jump. It would literally jump from the curtains, like up on the top of the curtains onto like your shoulder or something. Yep. It was super cool. Just like fly across the room. It was neat.
Well, you get it to do that.
Well, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website, www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from whatever platform you are choosing today. And we are kicking this off with Mr. Todd Denkin. Todd has been a C-level executive in the cannabis and hemp space since 2009, and he successfully launched 2 publicly traded cannabis companies. In 2009, Photron Holdings, and in 2014, Digipath Labs, and is the #1 testing lab in Nevada. As well as he's now streaming The King of Pot on YouTube, and you can check it out there. It is none other than Mr. Todd Denkin.
And the crowd goes wild. Thank you, Jason.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Happy Tuesday. And happy Care Bear Day.
Yeah. Well, don't forget it's also Trumpy Bear Day too, since it's, you know what I'm saying. Don't forget that one, Todd.
It's just embarrassing, Jason. Just embarrassing. I love the fact that you have no shame.
Zero shame.
Your adoration for your cult leader.
Zero shame for the boss.
The boss. Yeah. Well, I got some political news in Washington, D.C. Speaking of your boss, Congressional GOP moves to repeal marijuana expungements law in Washington, D.C. to fulfill Trump's goal of restoring law and order. Law and order is all good unless you attack the Capitol, right? So that's where there is no law and order, of course. But back to the article. GOP-controlled Congressional Committee is set to vote on a series of bills this week targeting various Washington, D.C. policies, including one measure that would repeal a local law expanding expungements for marijuana possession. House Oversight Committee chaired by Representative James Comer, a Republican from Kentucky, will meet on Wednesday for the markup of 14 bills focused on amending or repealing multiple D.C. laws. Comer said in a press release on Friday that President Trump and House Republicans are committed to restoring law and order in our nation's capital city, unquote. Part of that effort involves the proposed repeal of the Second Chance Amendment Act, D.C. law that passed in 2022, took effect in the next year in 2023. Under the law, the district's judiciary was mandated to automatically expunge marijuana possession records for offenses that took place before D.C. enacted a limited cannabis legalization law in 2014. Here's the key text of the D.C. law that the congressional bill would repeal. Quote, court shall order expungement of all criminal records and court proceedings related to only citations, arrests, charges, or convictions, the commission of a criminal offense has subsequently been decriminalized, legalized, or held to be unconstitutional by the Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia or the Supreme Court of the United States, or records related only to simple possession for any quantity of marijuana in violation of 48-904.01D1 for February 15th, 2015, unquote. Comer said that under President Trump's decisive leadership, crime in D.C. is now falling at an unprecedented rate. The House Oversight Committee stands ready to back the president's swift action by advancing comprehensive legislative reforms that empower district law enforcement and tackle escalating juvenile crime crisis head on. See, the problem is all the crime is happening inside the White House, so that's where they expunge those folks. While Comer put the new repeal bill on the committee's agenda for Wednesday, he previously signaled that he'd be open to revisiting the rider. Asked about the possibility of lifting restrictions on D.C. legal cannabis sales, he said in late 2023, quote, "That's what Washington, D.C. wants? Yeah," unquote. Last week, the House Appropriations Committee again advanced the underlying spending bill, with the rider kept intact. Representative Eleanor Holmes Norton, a Democrat from D.C., has criticized appropriators for putting forward a bill that restricts the district's autonomy in a number of ways, including the rider to, quote, "prohibit the use of funds to commercialize recreational marijuana," unquote. The measure cleared subcommittee in July. He said, "I am outraged at the number and scope of anti-D.C. home rule riders in the bill released today." Congresswoman said in May that she would again push her colleagues to join her in an effort to remove the cannabis language. Norton added, while referencing a statement from the White House that called for the district's move to enact local marijuana reform, an example of, quote, "failed policy that, quote, opened the door to disorder." That's what it did. She also added, "As Congress works on the fiscal year 2026 appropriation bill, I will fight to move this rider." Convicted felon, liable sex offender, and best friend to Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump's budget. His request that he released in June similarly contained the Harris rider preventing marijuana sales in D.C., despite voters in the jurisdiction voting to approve legalization in 2014. Now, D.C. hasn't been able to use its local funds to implement a system of regulated recreational cannabis sales over the last decade. Local officials have taken steps to expand the city's existing medical marijuana program as a workaround. I'm Todd Denkin with High News, and yet another politician who thinks he knows better than the people. I don't understand how these folks get elected into office and they don't abide by the will of the people. I just don't get it. I don't get it. You guys, can you guys explain it to me, perhaps?
You know, I'm just as confused by that, Todd, too. And, you know, I can't imagine why anybody would ever vote for a Democrat either, because they don't abide by the will of the people. So I totally get it, bro. What are you talking
about?
I totally get it.
Yeah, it definitely goes both ways.
Yeah, that is true. That is true, Michael. That is true. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, be contentious. They you know, Republicans do it too. But
Glenn Youngkin, yeah, he's a Democrat, right? Hot Wheels down in Texas. He's
totally doing the will of the people. He's making sure that hemp is alive.
Also, another Democrat.
Jason, you cannot simultaneously state that the majority of Americans are in favor of adult use while looking at Texas's cannabis policy and Hot Wheels.
I can. I 100% can because cannabis was legalized under the Farm Bill.
He's a Republican. That's why he can do that.
No. We've talked about how like 2/3 of Americans are in favor of legalized cannabis, and we've covered Texas.
My next story is all about that.
We've covered Abbott's decisions and positions and the stuff that's happening and the stuff that's happening in the party that he's affiliated with down there. And I'm not sure that you can say with the same mouth, much less in the same week, much less on the same show.
I could definitely do it.
He is doing the will of the people when it appears that the majority of Americans, including Texans, have a will that does not align with the policy agendas that he seems to either be fostering, facilitating, or allowing to occur under his leadership. I'm not saying that you're full of shit. I'm not saying that. I actually like you as an individual and I respect you. What I am saying is that we have to look at those statements and and realize that they don't reconcile. And so either one of those statements is incorrect or you're having a cognitive mishap here on live podcast. Okay. So I think it's important when you pride yourself on your loyalty to a party or a particular set of ideals or thoughts that you can also weed out the rubbish, and you actually have a word for it. You didn't even make it up, called Rhino, Republican in name only. And so if you're going to say that the Republicans are about less government, and we look at all the anti-dildo laws that Abbott was a part of in Texas, okay? I have no idea why a governor would try to, and he was AG at the time, and it wasn't that he so much created these policies. I'd continued to enforce and perpetuate them. But if you're going to talk about Republicans as a less government, more business-friendly party, and you look at Abbott and you use this word rhino on the show that you didn't even make up, you got to be able to weed out the ones in the party you identify as with. You got to be able to weed out the ones that are not living up to those standards, those planks, those ideals. If you can't, you lose credibility.
Well, here's what I'm going to say to that, Yarrow, and here's why I totally back Governor Abbott. Okay, on this one, all right, is because he is the sole person that is keeping the hemp industry alive, which we all know is legalized cannabis. He's the sole person keeping that alive in Texas because he is unwilling to sign any type of prohibitionist piece of legislation that the other rhinos in his legislature want to throw at him and try to force feed down the people of Texas. So yes, he is 100% a freedom fighter. Just because he hasn't evolved as much as you would have liked him to on the overall cannabis issue doesn't mean that he's not with us as an ally, because ultimately in the definition under the Controlled Substances Act, it's all cannabis sativa L. So a win for hemp is a win for cannabis, just like a win for cannabis is a win for cannabis.
I think he was against the dildos because he couldn't feel them going in.
Oh, God.
No feeling down there.
That's not fair. I want to be the funniest person on this show.
Only on Mondays.
Yeah, only on Mondays. Yeah,
only on Mondays.
Only on Mondays.
So,
Yarrow.
The issue is this, and I hate to say it, and is
go for it.
But the bottom line is it doesn't matter what party you're dealing with in cannabis. They both have their heads so far up their asses and up the DEA's ass and the FDA's ass that nobody gives a shit about the truth and what the people want. Because this has been polling over 50% for at least 10 years, right? So, and then we look in Florida, we passed medical by 71%, and they've done everything that they can to prevent our program. And that's a Republican Congress. We look into Democratic states, they're doing the same thing, restricting, more hurdles, more problems, more taxes. Look at California. So every politician is out there looking at cannabis, seeing it as this evil drug that's going to now be released on society, and it's going to cause all kinds of problems, which it hasn't done for 5,000 years. But they're using it today still, and now it's psychosis, right? Causes people to go crazy. So I am honestly sick with all of the politicians on this issue. It is clear the DEA judge in the 80s determined it was the safest therapeutic substance known to man. It's not even on the LD rating of any pharmaceutical. And if you don't know what that is, that means the lethal dose.
Yeah.
So almost every pharmaceutical has an amount that you can do that you will die. So, I'm sick of it. I'm fed up by it. And, it's why I'm an attorney, and it's why, unfortunately, I get into politics.
I think the critical difference, and I don't want to digress too quick, too soon. And I know I hear our viewers, this is a weed show, not a politics show. But I think the critical difference is Democrats want to legalize it, tax the shit out of it, and then allocate that money to other meritorious programs that have traditionally been underfunded. And Republicans want to act like smoking cannabis, many of them, is an egregious violation of the Bible. And
Sure.
so And so I do think there are some differences in the way that this is approached, and I think those differences highlight deep philosophical differences in these parties. I just think that back to Abbott, Jason, in your feeble defense of the man, what you're choosing to do is focus on one issue in one moment. And because
I am.
Myself and Jesse Barney were set to have a pro-con Abbott debate that we never had on this show yet.
I mean, you guys can have it. I don't understand why you guys are the only ones that are holding it up. That's you two.
That's right.
Don't try to act like
limited time, and unfortunately, that I don't know that I want to see Jesse cry on camera when I eviscerate his positions. But I have researched Abbott's CV, his body of work, his contributions, if you can even say it's that, to public policy. And if you go back a very long time, he is an obstructionist, get nothing done. He bragged about suing the federal government and that was his job as AG of Texas. Anybody who makes it their job to worry about dildos is a dildo. And I think if we can't all agree on that, then I'm going to have job security here on this show.
Well, Yarrow, you do have some job security on this show, regardless of what I'm saying, however many dildos you choose to purchase offline.
I got to start a GoFundMe for the Go Fuck Me. But either way, I just need to say Abbott is a terrible person, a terrible politician, a terrible policymaker, and a mids leader. If he was truly the leader of his party in his state, that we wouldn't see the representatives and legislators proposing things that he needed to act as the sole check and balance against having those anti-cannabis and anti-hemp policies effectuated.
He doesn't have an anti-hemp policy. He just wants an age gate. He wants sensible rules. I don't think there's anything out of the question of that being within the realm of reality.
I'm all in favor of age gating.
See, there we go. So look at that. So you're in favor. So you're in favor of Abbott's policies on hemp. You just said it right there. That's all. You just
can't even keep the grid working.
You just
Texas.
conceded. You just conceded your whole argument, Yarrow, right there.
Think he's gonna go cannabis?
Yeah, 100%.
No, I actually believe that hemp should be a federal policy.
Hemp is a federal policy, Yarrow. It's the 2018 Farm Bill. You made my point. But states still it is a federal policy. No, it is. Hemp is a federal policy, Michael. But each state has the ability, because of states' rights, to enact, the different restrictions in which they want to create. That.
My argument is they wouldn't be doing that if the Farm Bill was thoughtfully updated.
Yep, I would agree. Or they shouldn't be able to, from my perspective. When you look at the whole federal preemption stuff, it's really interesting that they're saying that the states can do what they want, even though the feds passed this. The only reason why the states can do it is because the feds gave them authority to do it. And not only that, the states, technically, before they even go forward with it, had to get a plan approved by the feds in order to do so. So I hate the way that this cannabis industry and the courts have been ruling on this throughout the country. I think that this should be a federally legal product. So, just like back in the day when alcohol started, and you can have dry counties and dry towns and things of that nature, but you can't prohibit possession or certain types of alcohol because you want to. I think that there's a huge disconnect between what the federal Farm Bill did and what it should do.
I don't understand that positioning a little bit there, Michael, because you're saying one that the states can do what they do, and the counties or cities can have dry cities or dry counties or whatnot. But we have a situation with hemp here in California where the governor has made it a completely dry state, and so how is that kind of, to me, contradicts your statement?
No, and I agree, and I don't think that he should be able to do that. So whether or not they're doing it, and the courts are ruling that they're allowed to do it based on one provision that's in the production aspect of it, talking about licensing cultivators. Other than that, there's nothing in the Farm Bill from it, and the way that cannot interfere with interstate commerce has been applied throughout the country has been a joke. It's interstate commerce. Well, unless the state doesn't want it. And so back in the days of alcohol prohibition, when people would ship, and this goes to, and you're right, states could potentially do it.
Yeah.
But if I want to ship it from California to Florida and possess whatever hemp product I can, that's still not a criminal act. Which currently today, those states are turning and making those things a criminal act again, which I don't think they should be able to do.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. And on that, we got to roll into our first commercial, and we're going to be right back. We're back, and we're back, Yarrow. We're back. We're back, Yarrow. We're back. We're back. No more rants off the thing. You know what I'm saying? But you know, my story came up in your story a few times, Todd, because there is a new NBC poll finds only 27% of American adults believe cannabis legalization is bad for society. You hear that?
Will of the people.
Look at that. A new NBC News Decision Desk poll finds that less than 30% of American voters think marijuana legalization has been harmful to society, underscoring the growing acceptance of legal cannabis across the country. According to the survey conducted between August 13th and September 1st, only 27% of respondents said they believe that legalizing marijuana is a bad thing for society. By contrast, a larger share, 33%, view it as a positive development, and the plurality, 45%, said legalization is neither good nor bad, suggesting that for many voters, the issue has become normalized rather than polarizing. The results come at a time when more than half of the U.S. states have legalized adult use marijuana, and national lawmakers are weighing major reforms, including rescheduling marijuana under the federal law and expanding banking access for marijuana businesses. Public attitudes towards marijuana legalization have shifted dramatically over the past decade, with opposition steadily eroding, and an Emerson College poll released last week found that 65% of registered voters in the U.S. support legalizing cannabis, you guys. The NBC poll, which surveyed more than 30,000 adults nationwide, highlights that skepticism about marijuana legalization now represents a minority viewpoint. The findings align with other national surveys showing consistent majority support for ending prohibition, particularly among younger voters. And specifically, the poll asked, thinking about the fact adult use marijuana is now legal in much of the country, do you think that it is generally? And 33% answered a good thing for society. 23% responded saying it's a bad thing for society. And 45% said it's neither good nor bad. Look at that. Look at those numbers. Wow, wow, wow. Only 23% said that it's bad for society. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, it seems like society's coming around.
Maybe. So are you saying that there's hope for society, Todd?
Yes.
Well, I don't know about that, but they seem to be coming around, though. Don't know if there's hope, but you know.
I mean, I think when you strip away the attempts by people with undisclosed agendas to create wedge issues in this country, I think when you get away from all of that and the hullabaloo about whatever BS non-data propaganda is being circulated through whatever channels, I think Americans in general are tolerant and believe in personal freedoms. I think that's got obscured recently by people who would rather see us pecking each other's eyes out over non-issues and making small issues into bigger issues. But I think this is like the jury is already speaking. Like it's really clear that Americans in general do not think this is something that is a scourge, bringing society down, that it's not the devil's lettuce. that it's the festive arugula. And
Yarrow, this study, they say that they surveyed more than 30,000 adults nationwide. And I would really like to see how many people they asked this question to on a state by state level. Oh. I think that would be super, super interesting to see where what states a majority of these this 23% that says that it's bad for society, and the 27% that say that it's not good for society overall.
Here's a hint. Where is it legal and where is it illegal?
No, we don't know these answers. That's all speculative talk, Todd. You're just trying to push a propaganda narrative. We don't have those answers.
Yeah, and Todd, I would agree with Jason on that, just because, like, I think well over, right, we're polling at almost 60%, over 60% support of legalization by the public in Florida.
People didn't vote for it. They didn't vote for it. So how, is the polling right?
It was a bad bill, Todd. It was a bad bill. I wouldn't have voted for it either.
Well, we'll talk about a lot of reasons why that didn't pass, but we had 71% in favor of medical marijuana. Right. So, and you're right, the polls are the polls, but I'm just saying, I think we are a state that's not legal. It has definitely a significant higher percentage of people that support legalization in whatever format it is. And I understand the last bill.
And yet they didn't vote for it.
It was a bad bill, Todd.
Also, well, whether or not it was bad or not, the issue is that it had a lot of controversial elements in it. And really, the people that didn't vote for it are the smaller population, because we still passed it by 57%. Realize that. We still won 57% of the votes in Florida. We just need 60% to pass it.
Super majority bullshit, right?
Well, no, it's a constitutional amendment.
By 56%.
So, Todd, I think a couple things. I think the chat is doing a good job of taking away what I was going to say, which is, part of what happened in Florida wasn't, I don't think it was a litmus test for
No, it wasn't.
Florida residents' approval of legalized adult use cannabis so much as did this bill have the elements that were necessary for it to be the right iteration. As Anna Lewis pointed out, she said, look, 25% of people are going to disagree with anything. Yeah, that's probably true. I'd like to think on this show I am that 25%. But as another person in the chat pointed out, it didn't have the home grow provision, so it wasn't. For some people,
lots of states don't have home grow provisions.
Yes,
lots of states have bad laws.
Yeah. So to be clear,
but for some people, they may have felt that it wasn't enough to garner their support, right? And what I was going to say is, in terms of the poll, Jason, that says 30,000. If you wanted to put on your polling hat, your statistician hat, the poll would need to have the appropriate ratio of what residents live in what states, meaning that if you've got 15% of the country's population in New York State, then 15% of your respondents would be from within that state. I like that proportional approach because that continues to reinforce California's legitimate mathematical reason to have an oversized voice in a lot of these conversations around policy.
Well, I feel you on that, but we need to have a whole new census done in order to get those accurate numbers.
Not in order for me to know that we got about 40 million people in this state.
What are you going to say, Michael, on that?
Allegedly.
No, I was going to say, as far as the Florida bill goes, there are a lot of issues with that, the monopoly aspect of it, the home cultivation aspect of it. And realistically, DeSantis did a great job of pitting the hemp companies versus legalization. So we had all these people that support cannabis, 100% running hemp stores, selling THCA flower, who said no on it because Truly, allegedly, and other big MSOs have been trying to tamp down the hemp industry forever. And it was obviously supported and paid for by them. So, there's a lot of reasons why that didn't happen. I'm really curious as to what's going to happen in 2026 here.
Well, but you're saying both things. You're saying 57% of the people voted for it.
They still did.
But right. So do they want it or they don't want it? It was a bad bill. It wasn't a bad bill.
They want it, Todd. They want it, Todd, but they want it done the right way. And that bill was not the right bill for Florida.
Name a state where cannabis is legalized in the right way.
Missouri. Missouri.
Well, so
Missouri's the only one.
You make a very good point, Todd. And you make a very good point. It's not done the right way in any state. There are just better and worser versions of not doing it the right way.
Right. That's exactly right.
And honestly, I would have to say, and I don't know if we did or did not, but we were one of the few states that started with the vertical integration limited licensing system. And that's really what I think pisses more people off in this state than anything else.
Well,
All
if you're
Ron
a Republican
DeSantis
and you believe in the free market, that was not a free market approach to cannabis.
So it's funny, when we were writing checks to one of the representatives for the House who was working on the bill, one of his PACs was Free Market Florida. Literally on their debate on the bill, they were talking about that. I remember it like clear as day. They're talking about how all the urgent centers, we need to have them on every corner so people could get one and have close access, etc. And when it came to the dispensaries, it was like, nope, total opposite. You know, the same person talking about free market. So it goes to that hypocrisy.
Well, I would argue that in California, one of the biggest death blows to regulated cannabis has been a lack of access to brick and mortar retail. The 3/4 of the 58 counties that were retail deserts when adult use was rolled out. And this idea of giving local control such that there was ample opportunity for NIMBYs to create big pockets of the state where someone couldn't just roll up and buy a cartridge if they wanted to. And so that lack of retail and the lack of opportunity for people to establish retail, whether it was going to fail or succeed, that's separate. That's on them. That's on a lot of factors beyond their control. But that lack of access to retail was a huge reason why we've got a dumpster fire in this state. And with Florida, they were giving these licenses that allowed the license holder to put as many retail locations as they wanted with that license. But the license was worth $27 trillion. And so if you put the blue hat on, you would say there was barriers to entry, there was a lack of equal opportunity, there was moneyed interests having an unfair advantage. I think all of those talking points are correct.
Well, Yarrow, in full transparency, that Florida bill also, although it allows for unlimited retail licenses throughout the state, they still have to go through city approval before they can open up a retail location. So there still is some form of local control to some degree.
Yes and no. So locals have very little control in the state. They have to be zoned by pharmacies. The local municipalities are supposed to zone by pharmacies.
There's still a process though that they go through.
Control.
But there's still a process. There's still a process that they go through. It's not like they just find a location and just all of a sudden prop up a store. They still have to go through a process with the municipality that they're going to operate in.
Yep, they have to get approval, but most of the approvals that for opening the store come from the state. As long as you get a property that's zoned correctly, there's usually not other city approvals as far as what you can and can't do, right?
So Florida has a more accessible way to open up businesses, I would say, overall. So there's a less of a barrier of entry for people to open up businesses there, but nonetheless, there still is a process that they still have to go through. That was my general overall point. It's not like, we found a location and here we're going to put it right here. There's still a process that they have to go through, regardless of how easy or how many hoops they have to go through. There's still a process there. That's my point.
Yes, there's a process by which I wipe my butt in the morning or I floss my teeth at night. Well, actually, I floss in the morning too, and I wipe at night. But the process and the details about the process.
Are you wiping
I usually do it without washing my hands. I usually start with the wipe and then go to the floss. But the process and the details about the process and the complexity of the process and the length of time of the process, you're missing all the nuance of the argument, Jason, because there's a process.
I agree with you on this, Yarrow. That's the thing is I agree with you on this. I'm just stating that there is still a process in Florida.
It's as of right
it's a lot easier.
All you got to do is deal with your traffic, your setbacks, your amount of parking spaces relative to you.
I agree it's a lot easier, but it's not just find a spot and open up shop. That's all I'm trying to say.
It's not as easy as opening a hemp
out
store.
Of every single pore of your body, like putting up a retail location in Los Angeles.
All right. Well, on that, we're going to roll into attorney at law, Mr. Michael Minardi. Michael Minardi is a lawyer out in the great red state of Florida. He's been helping patients, advocates, cannabis businesses, and advised politicians over the last 20 years on what to do about cannabis and how to make it the most effective in the great red state of Florida. And you can find him at his own law office at Minardi Law. It is none other than Mr. Michael Minardi.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy high noon to everyone on the East Coast. Today is a Psychedelic Tuesday. Psychedelic drug popular in the 1960s could ease anxiety as doctors share warnings. This is from Ashley J. D'Amelia from Fox News. A new study suggests that lysergic acid diethylamide, LSD, known as acid, could reduce anxiety. This marks the first ever trial to evaluate the safety and efficacy of MM120, a pharmaceutical formulation of LSD. As a monotherapy for patients with moderate to severe generalized anxiety disorder. According to lead author Daniel Marlin, chief medical officer of MindMed, a biopharmaceutical company in New York, the study was published in the Journal of the Medical Association. Nearly 200 adults between the ages of 18 and 74 either received a single dose of LSD at various a dose of LSD at various does, or a placebo, dummy pill, for a 3-month period, according to a press release. The dosing sessions were individually conducted in private rooms with 2 trained monitors who observed the participants for at least 12 hours. No psychotherapy was provided. Researchers tracked changes in participants' anxiety scores at weeks 1, 2, 4, 8, and 12, with week 4 serving as the main point of evaluation. After 4 weeks, patients receiving the highest doses had significantly lower anxiety scores than the others. At 12 weeks, 65% of patients taking 100 milligrams showed benefits, with nearly 50% in remission from anxiety. Researchers also tested LSD's impact on depression, finding that the highest doses were linked to significant improvement. Carlin shared that the effects of LSD were almost immediate. Side effects of the psychedelic included hallucinations, nausea, and headaches. Wonder if that was while they were on the substance versus after. The effects were dose-dependent, with 100 milligrams being the optimal dose. The 200 microgram dose also significantly outperformed the placebo. The 25 and 50 milligram doses did not show significant benefits. One possible study complication was functional unbinding, in which the trial participants could correctly guess whether they had received the active medication versus a placebo, according to Carlin. The drug maker plans to conduct 2 large late-stage trials to track patients over a longer period of time. If the study is deemed successful, MindMed will submit to the U.S. Drug and Food Administration for approval. LSD is classified as a Schedule I substance, which means it's considered to have a high potential for abuse. No accepted medical use, according to the Drug Enforcement Agency. Scheduled drugs are not illegally allowed to be prescribed, dispensed, or used in medical treatment, except for approved research. The FDA has designated LSD, psilocybin, and MDA as potential breakthrough therapies, Fox News senior medical analyst Dr. Mark Siegel told Fox Digital. The key is careful oversight and meticulous research, which monitors both side effects and effectiveness, said Siegel. While this study shows a very positive result in around 200 patients, Siegel confirmed that LSD can cause hallucinations. I guess while
Get
you're
out of here.
Additionally, documented side effects may include paranoia, mood swings, increased heart rate, and long-term psychosis, according to multiple sources. Not ones that were part of this study. So I wonder what part of the study they did on that one. Hayes Alterman, a psychedelic medicine attorney in Washington, D.C., told Fox News Digital that LSD's return is not just a cultural or scientific, it's regulatory. The experts said psychedelics were sidelined due to the sweeping expansion of FDA authority under the 1962 Kefauver Screw the Public Harris Amendments. The legislation, also called the Drug Efficiency Amendments, require drug manufacturers to provide efficacy, substantial evidence of efficacy through well-controlled clinical trials before approval. LSD and other psychedelics have shown clinical progress, but the excess recreational use in the 1960s pushed researchers away from continuing to study it. And I'm sure the law is changing as well. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy and Department of Veterans Affairs Doug Collins have conveyed interest in exploring psychedelic therapy. The line of therapeutics has some tremendous advantage if given in a clinical setting, and we are working very hard to make sure that happens within 12 months, RFK recently told members of Congress. Psychedelics advocate Alterman noted that while the support doesn't replace science, it encourages institutions like the FDA to take it seriously. I think this supports everything that we've known about for so long. In the 60s, there were so many studies on psychedelics that were being done that were thrown away thwarted as a result of the overreaction to the hippies and them wanting to end the war and stop violence, which I'm sure is a side effect of LSD and other psychedelics as well. So this is a good sign. Continuing to move psychedelics in the right way. We have to legalize nature, and it all starts with this show. What do you guys think?
Michael, is LSD really natural?
Well, originally, yeah. I mean, it was originally a mold that was found on a bread.
You mean like penicillin?
Penicillin, yeah.
Correct. Well, I think it was right. What's his name? He was trying to make something.
The bicycle day guy.
Yep.
Why is his name? Is it drawing a blank right now? Give me a second. Bicycle day.
Albert Hoffman. Duh.
There we go. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. He all of a sudden dosed himself and rode his bike to work, and all of a sudden it started kicking in on his bike ride, and he was, you know what I'm saying? He was literally
the best
rolling.
bike ride of his life.
Man. You know, I actually prefer acid over mushrooms. I think it's personally way better. But, you know, I know a lot of people love their mushrooms and whatnot, and they're like, oh, I love to microdose and da-da-da-da-da. It's just so corny.
From what I've heard, my understanding is, you know, the mushrooms are more kind of relaxed type of thing, where the acid is surprise anxiety, too, because I think when I've heard, it's mostly like edgy, you know?
Yeah, you know, I didn't have that experience with it. I have heard from a number of people those types of experiences, but mushrooms, bro, they just make me very lethargic, and like it's very difficult to move, and that's the main reason that I do not like them at all whatsoever. I already have a hard enough time moving around, and so I don't need anything it's going to make it more difficult.
Mushrooms get you way more giggly and happy than
I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that, because when I'm not moving, I'm not more giggly and I'm not more happy, Todd.
If you revisited some of your political positions, you'd be a lot more giggly.
No way.
It's a lot of work to have to cheerleader for some of these douchebags.
It's
a noble effort, but it's like you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders sometimes.
I do it all day, every day, bro. I do it for the people, because it's all about weed for the people. It's all about weed for the people, Yarrow.
Crushing you.
You know what I mean? I'm here for it.
Weed for the people.
Yeah. You know, God gave me an incredible tolerance for bullshit, and that's why I'm here to be able to listen to all your guys' stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's why I'm able to talk to you guys so much and still be calm and normal, and, you know what I'm saying, still keep my peace.
Look, we can all be weed for the people, but you can't be people for the PDO. Like, that's the place where we've got to be able to draw the line. Like, there are.
I don't understand what you just said.
You cannot support men who have sex with young children.
I don't. That's why I support the president. That's exactly why I support the president, because we all know that that's total bullshit, and this already came out, the fact that he's been an FBI informant in regards with the Jeffrey Epstein case. So I already know what you're trying to go to, Yarrow. So I'll just drop it right there. Exactly, because he was an FBI informant for 20 years.
Mike Johnson pulled that back already. He took it back.
He has not pulled that back, bro. Stop it. The prosecutor even admitted to that.
The amount of information that we have about all the stuff that they know is like a drop in the ocean compared to the stuff that they know. And it's sad that our government in this country keeps us blind and stupid on so many issues that we care about, that we should have a right to know about as citizens voting. This is our government. We're not their people. And that's what has to change.
I totally agree with that, Michael. You're 100% right about that.
So the argument is that Trump has clean hands because he was a snitch, not a co-conspirator, that he is not
and there's no one that is saying, there's no one
sex with young women.
There's no one that's saying, there's no accuser saying that, any of that.
If we were going to sort of take a more street view on this, like if you were best friends with Jeffrey Epstein,
you're cutting out.
Or had intercourse with someone below the age of 18, I wouldn't believe you and I wouldn't associate with you.
You keep cutting out, Yarrow. Someone keeps doing something to your internet. They obviously don't want your message to get out there.
we all know it's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. It's our internet bullshit protector going on over here. Yara, we're not getting anything from you right now. I don't know what's going on.
Somebody be able to be
there we go.
affiliated with such malfeasance, and so
you keep cutting out. Your internet does not like you right now. It's
responsibility.
It's our national bullshit protector protecting us from Yarrow's spewing of ridiculousness going
Hilarious.
on. Yeah, that's cute. That's
cute.
What
the thing that I like about the acid, right, is because when we look at that and you look at Albert Hoffman, that was really originally found from ergot, right, and derivatives of ergot. And that is also a substance that we know that people have been using for thousands of years as they're finding traces of ergot in mugs and things of that nature. We believe it was the first Soma India brand beer. And then also it was a brew that was used in Elysium in Greece in the days of Socrates and things of that nature. So it's really cool to see that is being recognized again. This is again a natural element that they used to make in brews in the days of the Greek Empire, and some believe that it's a reason why the Catholic Church went in and destroyed all their books and readings and pretty much all of Elysium. They didn't want people getting close to God.
Interesting. That's a fascinating little tidbit of history right there, Mike. Thank you for that. And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back, you guys.
Every legend has a humble beginning.
In world news, leaders are gathering today for the annual summit.
I want to tell you something, Che. The government is watching us through the television.
Oh, John.
Look, right there. They're trying to hack into my TV box.
We're still not able to hack into the TV box, sir.
Ha! But they can't. I've rebuilt the entire electronic system, and it sends and receives signals through quantum phase space. They'll never get in. Engage target.
In other news, local authorities are investigating a series of strange atmospheric phenomena reported by residents.
Ma'am, we're with the federal government. We need to ask you some questions.
John?
Is there a problem? We've been trying to penetrate your TV box for over 6 months. I told you they were trying to watch us through the TV, but you didn't believe me. We can't get in, and to be frank, we have no idea what you've created. Yeah, that's the point. It's called privacy. You know what the Fourth Amendment guarantees? All we know is that we can't get inside. We want to know if you can create one for us.
QUX. Even the government wants one.
Yes. Stop whatever you're doing, guys. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com. And make sure Thursday is 9/11. And so we have put together a really, really interesting statement of facts in regards to the events of 9/11 with Congressman Curt Weldon, who was recently interviewed on Tucker Carlson and a number of other different podcasts. And we also had Congressman Rohrabacher come and participate in this. And so I hope you guys all will check it out. We're hoping to release it on 9/11 at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time. And so I hope you guys check it out, enjoy it. It's going to be over 2 hours long, and it's a fascinating dive down the rabbit hole of what actually happened on 9/11, you guys.
Introducing QUX Pay, or simply the Pay app.
Where you can pay like it's nobody's business.
Because it isn't. It's what everyone's been clamoring for. It's finally here.
Secure every payment. Your data stays private. QUX will never sell your data for profit, period. Pay friends, family, contacts instantly. No hidden fees. No limits. Spend on the move.
With this patented technology, you can use debit, credit, bank transfers, cash cards, and even crypto completely offline.
Amounts transferred through the Pay app reach their destination instantly. Transfers in a flash. As quick as sending a text. No more waiting around like crypto. Are you ready for the future of payments? The state of the art for money is finally here.
Data privacy and security protocols trusted by militaries and banks worldwide. QUX Pay, the Pay app.
Available as an app and point of sale system, personal and corporate accounts available. Go to QUXPay.com and start using the Pay app today.
We are back, you guys. We are back. Coming up next, it's the man for the Shire who is always out there and ready for hire. That's right. He does real estate. He does cannabis. Every once in a while when there's money in cannabis, he'll do some cannabis real estate. That's right. It is none other than Mr. Yarrow Kubrin.
And the crowd goes wild.
Well, I'm going wild, or already. So hopefully I have no AV issues while I report on this. You indicated that you're going to have a former Republican lawmaker on.
It's already been recorded. We've already recorded it.
Oh, nice.
We've already recorded. It's pre-recorded. It's already nice. Done. It's going to go up as a standalone video. It's not a live conversation.
Okay.
It's extremely fascinating and very, lots of really good information. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
Well, just the facts. Let's remember
it is all facts. It is all facts. And Yarrow, just because I see where you're trying to go with this, okay? But the reality of it is this, is that Congressman Weldon, numerous times throughout there, he holds his hand up and says everything that he talks about, he is willing to take a polygraph on. No problems, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so it's all fact-based in this.
Including Saddam Hussein having weapons of mass destruction. Let's not look at it.
Let's wait till after you watch it to throw in your little opineness.
Oh, well, after I watch it, it could be worse.
After you watch it, let's wait. Let's wait for you throwing your opineness.
Let me cover my article. Commission sets medical cannabis plant limits at Nebraska governor's request. Apparently, he's a heck of a cultivator. The Nebraska Medical Cannabis Commission will cap cultivators for the new medicine to grow no more than 1,250 flowering plants at one time, adding a limit that the governor had requested. Governor Jim Pillen, in a Thursday letter to the 5-member commission, said while he appreciated commissioners' work to ensure the cannabis industry is properly regulated, he would not sign new emergency regulations the commission approved September 2nd without the group setting a limit on how many plants cannabis cultivators grow. Leaving the cultivators without a limit would increase the likelihood of an overabundance of cannabis product that creates an unregulated, unintended black market supply, Pillen wrote. He continued, if an inclusion of plant population limits for permitted cultivators can be included, I will support the remainder of the proposed emergency regulations to go into effect. Last week, the commission said it would license only 4 medical cannabis cultivators. The first round of cultivation applications to meet the new regulations are due by September 23rd. Licensing must begin by October 1st. The Medical Cannabis Commission built its discussion on top of a placeholder draft put forward by Bo Tello. I'm going to butcher that name every single time. The general counsel for the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services, who is advising the commission pursuant to the interagency agreement. The Department of Health and Human Services had opposed medical cannabis in the past, because they're so science-based, which is why advocates sought and ultimately won voter approval to house the new Medical Cannabis Commission elsewhere, that being the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission. But this Botello said he worked backwards from Missouri's plant limits, noting the neighboring state grows plants for recreational and medicinal use. He proposed a much more stringent limit than allowed in the neighboring Show Me state. He had proposed the following placeholder limits. Indoor facilities, 200 flowering plants. Outdoor facilities, 500 flowering plants. Greenhouse facilities, 300 flowering plants. And a combination of the 3 types, 200 flowering plants. The numbers I came with isn't the result of any real math. Yeah, no shit, he said. I just put some numbers in there to start with. Oh, that's policy. Oh my God, I can't even say this with a straight face, and I'm not microdosing LSD. The Commissioner Bruce Bailey of Lincoln led a push to increase the number of plants allowed. He noted that some plants might be lost in crop failure, while others might not meet new commission testing requirements. Bailey said he also wanted to be sure there was enough supply for Nebraska's patients. 4 of Nebraska's 6 bordering states have legal medical cannabis programs, with the percentage of residents in those states using the programs as follows: Iowa, less than 1%, Colorado, 1%, South Dakota, 1.2%, and Missouri, 1.95%. I'm not sure about those stats, but anyway, they did give a source citation. Using a rough ratio of 1 plant per serving every 2 patients, Bailey and other commissioners worked towards serving approximately 1% of the state, or prospective 20,000 Nebraskans. Meeting patient demand, Commissioner Lorelei Monig of Grenta. I'm terrible with these names. An addiction prevention specialist with Heartland Family Service said Nebraska might not have 20,000 patients right off the bat, and joined with Commissioner Kem Lowe of Kearney, voting an intent to review the numbers in the future. This person said that in the limited time between Pellin's Thursday decision not to sign on the commission's emergency Monday meeting, she had researched that 2,000 indoor plants might be able to produce enough tinctures for 23 patients per year. I don't know how all this translates into plants because, again, how much flower a plant can produce depends on how it's grown, how it's cultivated, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I could cover the next 5 paragraphs of this, but let me just kick this off as somebody who's grown a lot of weed. Stem count is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is square footage of canopy. The only difference between stem counts that are high and stem counts that are low is the amount of vegetation time that is needed to fill that canopy out. The more vegetation time you have, the more cost you create because of the holding costs of that real estate, the operational expenses, nutrients, the lights, etc., etc. So by limiting stem count, you don't actually limit yield per round. You just increase the cost and time it takes to create a full canopy. So stem count is an antiquated rubric, shouldn't even be a part of the policy discussion at all. Limits a cultivator's ability to use their tools and to maximize their return on their cultivation facilities. And it is clear from this article that the people making the decisions have no idea what they're doing. And by their own acknowledgement, by their own quotes, they have no idea what they're doing. The idea that 1% of Nebraskans are going to use cannabis, if we can go from medical to adult use, is also an abysmally low placeholder. Yeah, this is your sugar glider at High at 9 News. I'd like to hear what everybody else thinks.
Man, this guy was this member was definitely gliding high. Todd, you have to go in a second. Do you have something you want to throw on this?
No, I do have to go, but we've been talking about it all morning. It's when the politicians think they know better, than the people. It's just I find it do not have a cannabis expert determine what the plant count should be, if it should be determined. But you're right, Yarrow. It's all determined on square footage of your canopy. And, some people grow small plants, some people go big plants or fat plants or whatever they want to do, right? So, to have him limit the amount of plants is it seems to be a way to maintain control of everything, right? I mean, that's all it seems like he wants to do, and it's just.
I would totally agree with that. It's ridiculous that they're even gonna have this type of account. You know what I mean? It's a tedious job to even count plants in the first place. You know what I mean? And I agree with you, Yarrow. It should be based off of canopy size, flowering canopy size at that, not vegetative canopy size, but strictly flowering canopy size should be what these types of numbers are based off of. It should never be based off of a plant count. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, all these stupid rules, they think that the guys who come up with them think we're going to save the industry, right? With limiting the amount of cannabis that is produced. That's the answer.
The fact that he even admitted the fact that he pulled these numbers out of his ass is just crazy to me. Like I appreciate the honesty and sincerity, you know what I mean? Because we typically don't get that out of politicians or bureaucrats or whatnot. But that is just a ridiculous way for them to have done that.
Bo should bow out. Bo should say, I'm not qualified to put in placeholder limits. Bo should come to Northern California and spend some days in the hills or some days in some East Bay warehouses. The idea of plant count is, it's like I'm looking 25 years backwards in time to the first iPhone and somebody trying to access Chat GPT off a device that isn't even internet connected. I mean, it's just so antiquated and pathetic. And if Republicans are pro-business and less regulation, then adding additional regulation with additional compliance costs and with regulators to go in and count the little number of stems is not pro-business.
It's crazy. It's
definitely
totally
not
ridiculous. Yeah, it's totally ridiculous.
Bo does not know cannabis.
Bo needs to go.
Exactly, yeah.
He's a lawyer. God bless him for passing the bar. This is not a bar he's able to overcome. Get back to staying in your lane and rely upon subject matter experts.
Do you have something you want to throw in on this, Michael, before we move on?
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a common theme among politicians that aren't necessarily educated on the issue, and they just pull stuff out of their ass. You know, the way we got our 2.5 ounce limit for our medical marijuana patients, according to him, and he said this publicly, Senator Brandis said he was at his barber getting his hair cut, and he asked his barber, hey, how's 2 ounces? Not bad. How's 2.5 ounces? I could have some fun with 2.5 ounces. And that's how patients in Florida got the 35-day limit to 2.5 ounces.
That's crazy.
Gotta be honest, though, barbers are very knowledgeable.
I mean, in all fairness, at least they use scissors. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, it's part of the trim.
I don't know. I haven't been to a barber in about 25 years.
Oh man, you're funny, bro. Funny.
I'm with you.
Yep. Well, on that, we're gonna roll into our final commercial, and we are gonna be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where am I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
And we are back, you guys. We are back. And I have 2 more stories for us before we wrap up the show. You ready for this, Michael?
I am.
All right.
Man on the mission, Mr. Jason Beck. Coming to you.
Oh, man. Well, Mississippi Medical Marijuana Association is pushing for policy changes. That's right. The Mississippi Medical Marijuana Association wants to see changes to Mississippi's medical cannabis program. The organization has lobbied for the medical program since Initiative 65 and the referendum that received overwhelming support to legalize medical cannabis in Mississippi. Among the changes the group wants to see is reform to the potency limits. As it stands, potency for flower is capped at 30%, and concentrates can't be higher than 60%. The association's director, Harry Chrysler, didn't think those potency limits are actually helping patients. In a quote, he says, "By arbitrarily capping it at 60%, you're not preventing anyone from getting higher. You're just costing them more," Chrysler explained. "These patients are basically just smoking more, which is objectively not great for your health." To meet the state's requirements, growers are having to purposely dilute product using third-party substances, he added. And the association also wants to see eligibility reform, like expanding the list of qualifying conditions. In a quote, "Our proposal would simply allow for practitioners to determine for themselves whether or not medical cannabis might be better for a patient than opiates or benzodiazepines," Chrysler said. "And this is one of the only programs, if not the only program that I know of, where the legislature seems to step in front of the relationship between the practitioner and a patient. You know, there's no qualifying list for conditions of Xanax. 3MA also wants to see patient card renewals pushed to 24 months instead of every year and remove the mandatory 6-month follow-up appointment. Man, I think all of those changes sound great, and I think Mississippi definitely needs them. They definitely need to expand on their whole program overall. And I totally agree with the chairman of this advocacy board. You know, the reality of it is you know, there is no list of qualifying conditions for Xanax, and I think there's a whole host of other medications that there's not a list of qualifying conditions for, and why there has to be a list of qualifying conditions for cannabis, I think is just kind of asinine, because we in reality don't have enough of the medical research to be able to actually state those things from a medical perspective. And so with that, I want to see what Mr. Michael Minardi has to say about this.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. And there's so many things that cannabis helps for that, you know, either not known about or, you know, they're just minor issues that people don't want to take prescription medications for. So I think this is a great expansion. I'd love to see something like that here. You know, we have a 1-year renewal every 170 days or whatever. We have to get our recommendation renewed, updated. So it's kind of ridiculous, all the hurdles that we put in. But it's, at least in Florida, we see it as our government not wanting people to have to go through these hurdles or not doing it, so they won't get the medical marijuana.
You know, Michael, I get it, and I think that for some conditions, I think having an expiration date on a recommendation makes sense. But there's a whole host of serious conditions that all it does is present a major inconvenience to patients, to where they should have a lifelong recommendation. You know, like myself with cerebral palsy, that should be a lifelong recommendation. It's basically harassing the disabled, having to go and redo the same thing when nothing is changing in regards with your condition. Same thing for like HIV/AIDS, cancer. I know cancer can go back into remission, but oftentimes it can come back. So kind of, I feel like once you have it once, it's best for you to do as much preventative stuff, even if it does go into remission, to prevent from it coming back in the future. And so if you had your recommendation for cancer, that should be a lifelong recommendation, and a whole host of other ailments. And I just wish that these health departments and medical professionals and legislatures would see past the ridiculousness of them trying to restrict the plant, especially when it comes for sick people.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. And we have the same situation in Florida. You know, our medical system was debilitating conditions, conditions that are all terminal illnesses pretty much, you know, but and exactly the same thing. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's continued to keep the restriction and make it harder for people to want to use marijuana because of it, from my perspective, even though we all know it's one of the best, most effective medications for most of those illnesses. You can take one instead of 10 without the side effects. Exactly.
And we did get a super chat in from the C Word, who says, I propose a test where if you can smoke 6 blunts in a sitting, you get an exemption to the plant limit. Well, that's cute. But, you know, we shouldn't be encouraging people to smoke blunts because they're ratchet, they're nasty, they make your mouth stink and everything else stink. C-word, so you know what I mean, nonetheless. But maybe if you switch that up to some joints, you know what I'm saying, king size joints or something, maybe we could get behind that. But nonetheless, this, you know, I wish everybody and my buddy Joel, who was the one that initiated the 3MA medical marijuana initiative out in Mississippi, want to send him our best, and everybody out there in Mississippi, and hope you guys are able to get this accomplished. We are definitely pulling for you guys over here, and all of those changes I think sound totally sensible, and you know, definitely merit worthy in order to be able to be initiated. So we hope that ultimately is the case. Any final thoughts on this, Michael?
No, I agree. People out there, call your legislators, tell them you support it.
Yep. Well, I have one final story for us, Michael, and this is a follow-up story from a story that we've covered previously on High at 9 News, because marijuana charges were dismissed for a Macomb County superintendent Food Services Director, you guys. But possession of a weapons charge remains for former superintendent. That's right. A judge has dismissed possession of marijuana on school property charges against former Fitzgerald Public School Superintendent Holly Lynn Stange and former Food Services Director Amanda Gail Carroll. The charges stem from the allegations that the two were smoking marijuana at a plaza within 1,000 feet of a school grounds on December of 2024. Police were at the school investigating complaints about fights at Fitzgerald High School when they reportedly saw Stange drive to the plaza and enter Carroll's car, where they allegedly shared a blunt. Police said a traffic stop on Stange's car resulted in the discovery of a .22 rifle in the vehicle, and both officials were placed on administrative leave. According to the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office on September 4th, 2025, a hearing addressed whether the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act, better known as the MRTA, overruled the Public Health Code regarding marijuana possession near schools. The judge ruled that the MRTA's language takes precedence and does not incorporate the Public Health Code's 1,000-foot restriction. As a result, the marijuana possession charges were dismissed, and Stange's charge of possessing a weapon in a weapons-free zone remains active, and her parental hearing is scheduled for October 16th, you guys. Wow, this is an interesting course of events. They got the weed charge dropped. If I remember correctly, in this case, they didn't even find any weed. They just had suspicions of it. You know what I mean? Of them. I don't remember them finding a roach or any of that. But and they were just going based off of hearsay, so that might be another reason why this was also dismissed. But again, my memory could be wrong. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't quote me on that. But what do you think about this, Michael?
Yeah, I think same thing. I don't think they did find anything in the vehicle, from what I recall. But it's very interesting. I'm glad to see them do the right thing. I'm kind of surprised we haven't had one of these cases in Florida with a medical patient bringing in their medicine into a building or something of that nature. I know a lot of law enforcement in the state basically believe you're not even allowed to possess it in public unless you're coming to or from the dispensary, which I think is 100% incorrect. So I'm really surprised we haven't seen this in the state, but they got to let people be free. And in this situation, when you have your medicine, what do? Leave it at home? And not bring it if you need it during the day. It just seems very unreasonable to have a patient have to go through that or suffer through the day without being able to use a medication, where in other circumstances, if they were on opiates or Xanax or anything like that, as long as they're not under the influence at work where it affects their ability to do their job, they're going to be in all likelihood allowed to use that.
Totally agree with that analysis. Well, good for these school workers. They're get to go and get their jobs back and whatnot. And so that's a good thing overall. And it's kind of ridiculous that it was even a thing in the first place. Although it is in the Detroit area, and so you can't blame the teachers for keeping a gun in their car out there. It does get pretty rowdy out there. So I'm not sure why that's such a big deal out there, but there wasn't any event that happened, and it's just a little 22. It's just a little pea shooter. So you know what I mean? It's not like it's not going to cause substantial damage. But nonetheless, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai are somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show. Yes. Elias, we got to wrap the show, bro. You got to play the outro, bro. Elias.
We're still on.
I know we're still on. I'm gonna go and end it right now. Oh, all right.
So everyone, if you're out there and you're still listening, don't forget to get in touch with your legislatures. Don't forget to contact them and tell them that you support both state and federal changes in cannabis laws and psychedelics. Let's push this nature to freedom, because because that's all we should have. Freedom is...
The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made...